Will Smith is allegedly embarrassed and hurt after Chris Rock slaps him back in his Netflix special. What up, world? Your boy Charles Brown back again, talking fact. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe, hit that notification bell. Okay. I don't know what he thought was going to happen, but sooner or later, we all knew Chris Rock was going to come back busting. How he say on Menace to Society? Was it Menace to Society? Where he goes, I knew they was going to come back, but I didn't know they was going to come back like this, busting. Boom, 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 boom. Yo, listen. Chris Rock came back with a fully loaded clip. He said everything that everyone was saying. Basically, he let it all hang out. He didn't let nothing, every single question that everyone had, he let it out. He talked about it. And I want to get into it after I read it. I'm going to read a little bit of this article from the New York Post, and we're going to discuss it. All eyes are on the slap heard around the world again. Will Smith was left embarrassed and hurt over Chris Rock's comments in his latest Netflix special, which reignited the controversy according to a new report. Will is embarrassed and hurt by what Chris said about him and his family in his special. He didn't watch it, but he had people tell him what Chris said, and the insider went on adding that Will and Jada have seen comments about it. Smith reportedly feels Netflix made a distasteful move airing Rock's special. I want to talk about that. The Post has reached out to Smith's reps for comment. Meanwhile, the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences has announced a special crisis team to help avoid any similar beatdowns at Sunday's ceremony. Because the Oscars are coming on this Sunday and they got to go into full crisis mode. Quote, Bill Kramer, who took over as the CEO, says, "We have a whole crisis team, something we've never had before, and many plans in place. We've run so many scenarios, so it is our hope that we will be prepared for anything that we may anticipate right now, that we may not anticipate right now, but we are planning for just in case it does happen." During 2022's live broadcast, Smith, 54, walked onto stage and slapped Chris Rock after the comedian made a joke about the actor's wife. "Keep my name out your effing mouth," twice after returning to his seat. We already know all that. The funny man accused Smith of venting anger over his wife's May to December affair, we're talking about Chris Rock now, with singer August Alsina, which the couple later discussed online on her Red Table Talk show. And I'm going to read to you the jokes that Chris Rock said that I thought the special was great. Quote, "Everybody in the world called him a bitch," Rock said of Smith. Everybody, and who's he hit? Me. A N-word he knows he could beat. That's some BSS. Everybody effing knows. Yes, it happened. I got smacked like a year ago. I got smacked in the effing Oscars by this mother effer. People like, did it hurt? Did it hurt? It still hurts. I got summertime ringing in my ears. Rock went on referring to Smith's 1991 hit record. "But I am not a victim, baby. You would never see me on Oprah or Gayle King crying." After the audience erupted in cheers and applause, Rock boasted, "No, it's never going to happen. I took that like a professional boxer, like Manny Pacquiao." He said a whole bunch of other stuff, and you would just have to watch it to see what happened. But allegedly, Will Smith did not watch it, but so many people calling him and telling him and texting him and letting him know what was said that he's embarrassed. And I want to talk about that. Honestly, when I was listening to it, and I know I know Will deserved it, bro. But I'm sitting there like, yo, this hard, bro. This harsh, bro. I was watching that like, yo, bruh, you might have went too far, bro. But what's too far when a man jumps up there and snatches your entire dignity by slapping you like a chick in front of the entire world on a stage where he knows you cannot retaliate. And if you do retaliate, you're going to look like an asshole. Like, you got to think, if if Chris Rock goes and starts fighting him, and these two men start wrestling and getting it in, and no matter who get out on who, because I'm almost certain Will Smith gonna react even worse. It's like when a bully gets the guy that's getting picked on try to bump chest with the bully, like, what's up? The bully usually get more mad that you even trying him, and he starts to try to beat you even worse. So I think Will Smith might have tried to beat him even worse. Now, Chris Rock's still a man. He would have had to defend himself, and he would have probably been able to grapple on him a little bit and try to hold him off, and security would have ran out there, and it wouldn't have got too crazy anyway. But Will Smith knows that wasn't going to go too far. When you watch it, right, when you smack a man, you automatically kind of like post back, thinking that he's going to swing back. And when he slapped him and he kind of post back a little bit, and he saw that Chris Rock wasn't going to move, Chris Rock was stunned, he just turned around and walked away because he knew he wasn't a threat. He knew he wasn't going to do nothing. And when you do that to a man, whatever he do to you afterwards, it's kind of like you got it coming. Anything other than shooting you in the back of the head, you kind of had it coming for real. And it was so harsh of how much he was calling this girl out her name and how he was calling Will Smith out his name. It was like, this dude been saving this for a year. I went to see Chris Rock right after, I'm talking about 2-3 days after the slap. It wasn't even but 2 to 3 days after the slap. I saw him. We bought tickets just because the tickets was already on sale. The show was already happening, but that slap made everybody want to go. So it threw the ticket prices up. We bought tickets anyway, and we went to see this dude. And he's like, don't worry, I'm going to talk about it later. I don't have no jokes for that. And somebody in the crowd started saying, boo, F Will Smith. He was like, nah, we're not doing that. And the dude was drunk, and he kept F Will Smith, F Will. They put him out. Security came, grabbed him up because we couldn't watch the show. He wouldn't let it go. He promised that he was going to talk about it, so we all knew that this was coming. But I feel like the show didn't even light up really until he got this guy. You couldn't even enjoy the show, the jokes, because you knew that this was coming, right? So you were waiting and waiting patiently. And when I watched it twice, when I went back and watched it the second time, I realized how good his set was. His set was great, right? I know people was like, it ain't funny, this and that, but a lot of people sat there waiting on Will Smith jokes. So when you waiting for an hour for Will Smith jokes, you're not paying attention to nothing, right? He did a lot of material that actually should have been more controversial, right? They came for him for the most silliest stuff that he said. I'm like, this guy just sat here and openly was co-signing abortion. Right? He actually literally was saying he's pro-abortion. Like, he was like basically on that, get rid of that baby. Like, you know what I'm saying? They didn't say nothing about that. He said if his dad was a transgender and his brother didn't like it, he would be like, she's your father. Like, it was funny stuff that they didn't pick up on. What they got mad about was the Will Smith joke where he said, I was rooting for the master to give him lashes, right? He said, I was rooting for the master to whip him. That was funny. It's called a joke, bro. Like, I don't know if people can process these jokes anymore. They so ready to look for outrage. And the title of his show, Selective Outrage, was so on point because they were looking for anything. They're not even listening to the jokes. They're not even taking into consideration that a comedian is there to shock you, say something funny, and be entertaining. It's all tongue-in-cheek. You're not supposed to take it too serious. And they are waiting. They're waiting like vultures to get on something. They were writing think pieces. These black people, bro, it's embarrassing, bro. Like, these black people these days, bro, I never seen nothing so fake and phony and faux, right? It's just goofy. It's not woke. It's the opposite of woke because it's like you're regurgitating goofy stuff that was more serious back in the day. You're making think pieces about stuff that should have been about the KKK or skinheads or something, and you're making it about a Chris Rock joke, right? You don't really understand how ridiculous you sound. They were writing whole paragraphs and whole like articles about the joke about freaking Will Smith was in a slave movie and he was rooted for the master to whip Will Smith like a slave. And it's like, bro, you really that's the worst thing you heard in? You didn't hear what he was talking about his own daughter? Right? You didn't hear none of that, right? This guy says some of the most offensive things I've ever heard. And I laugh at him because I watch nothing but comedy. So it's almost impossible to offend me. Even with a racist joke, if it's funny, I'm gonna laugh, right? I'm talking about like a white man. If a white man got a joke that's funny and it could be racist, if it's funny, I'm gonna laugh. It is what it is. I might not be happy about the joke, but if he makes a joke that is it's in the spirit of comedy, you have no right to get mad. You shouldn't be watching a comedy special if you're gonna watch it and get mad about it. It's a comedy special, bro. It don't make no sense to watch a special and then walk away with, I'm going to go online, I'm going to get at this comic. You sound ridiculous. Getting at a comic is a is like, it's moronic to me, to be honest with you. Don't watch comedy then. If your skin is that thin that a comic could get you out of your bag, then you probably shouldn't be watching comedy. I've been watching comedy for 40 years. I don't need to be coddled and act like, oh, let me like kind of be sensitive. No, say your joke. Just make it funny. Just make it funny. But they went and ran with it, and they try to so-called, I don't even know if they're trying to cancel people anymore. They're just trying to bring people down, in my opinion. And it's like, I don't know where all this stuff was coming from with this whole thing where they was trying to bring up his old tweet. It wasn't a tweet, but it was an old clip where he was with who's this guy? I forgot this guy. Louis. I can't remember Louis' name, but the comic. And the comic said, he said they were joking because they're friends. And he said, "Oh, I'm an N-word." And he said, "Yeah, you're the biggest N-word, right?" The white comic said, "Oh, I'm an N-word, right?" And Chris Rock agreed with him and laughed, right? They it's whatever, bro. Like if that made you mad, then it is what it is. But people wasn't using it as it just made me upset. They were trying to bring him down because he said at the end, "Don't fight in front of white people." So it's like they was looking for any reason to launch that video and try to attack him again. So now he's the bad guy and Will Smith is all of a sudden out of nowhere going to be the good guy that we're going to be trying to support. Like, it's weird to me, but I feel like Will Smith being hurt and embarrassed is exactly what should have happened, because I'm sure this guy was hurt and embarrassed. Chris Rock got kids. He got an ex-wife. He got people that care about him. His brothers was ready to kill Will Smith. Right? Go look at Tony Rock stand up. He said, you slapped my brother. And try that with me and see what happens. Chris Rock is about that action. Tony Rock is about that action. So his brothers was ready. He got mad brothers. He got a big family. They wanted to smoke with this guy. So Will Smith, he didn't publicly say he was hurt and embarrassed, so we can't really be too harsh because we don't know. This is a so-called source. But end of the day, you should be hurt and embarrassed, because you attacked this man over your wife and nobody else involved in the situation with her got attacked. That's a lot of built up aggression and pent up frustration that you took out on this man. We all know it. Will knows that, right? That's why he took some time off and whatever. I feel like I'm going to always see Will Smith for this. It could be 20 years from now. It could be 25, 30 years from now. I'm going to always remember Will Smith for that moment. All the stuff he did good, all them years of being the golden boy, he ruined that. It's all over. We're going to always look at that. We're going to always look at him sideways. Anytime something comes up where he might have yelled or did something crazy, you're going to be like, he probably did it. All that pent-up aggression. So I don't know. I feel like him being hurt and embarrassed is exactly what should come, because I feel like if I'm going to go slap a grown man or slap anybody, I know what I'm doing. It wasn't like he had time to think about that. And Jada didn't move a muscle to stop him from going up there. What is he walking up there for other than to slap him? Like, what are you going up there for? Are you going to take the mic? Like, whatever you're going up there for, you're going to embarrass him. So whatever he was going up there for, security didn't do nothing and Jada didn't do nothing. And he had time to think that through and he still did it. So there's consequences with that. And I know it's been a year and he's been barred from the Oscars for 10 years. But which is kind of harsh. But at the end of the day, why would they want him there? Right? So end of the day, we're gonna see what he has to say about this. I'm sure he's gonna want to say nothing. He should never ever address Chris Rock again. And they actually said in the article that he wants him to get over it. He wants Chris Rock to move on and get over it. So that's what he got to do. He got to move on and get over it. You slapped him, but now he got to move on and get over it. Let me know what you think in the comments, man. Did Chris Rock got to get over it? Is he lingering this on? Because I heard some people saying, man, it's a year and you just now talking about this. Why we don't want to hear about this now? They were saying that like, you waited too long, we don't want to hear, but I couldn't tell because that thing was #1 trending on Netflix. Everybody was talking about it. It was #1 trending on Twitter. Everybody was talking about it. So I can't tell that nobody wanted to hear about it. But let me know what you think in the comments. CLBMG.com. Go check that out. Every Wednesday we go live Every Thursday we go live. And we got a bunch more shows coming every week. The CLBMG network is on Twitter, Facebook, and on YouTube. And we have a lot of different shows to entertain you. Go check that out. We got music. All right? So let me know what you think, man. CLBMG. I'm going to catch you on the flip side. Peace.
CLB.